Hello everyone, welcome to BAJIRAO IAS Academy, the Hindu News Analysis. Today is 15th September 2025 and today we have some very important topics from the Hindu newspaper. So one by one, we'll be discussing all these important topics in a very detailed and in-depth manner, so that this discussion will be helpful for the prelims and mains examination. So the first topic with which we're going to start this discussion is about an important article that has been given in the Hindu newspaper today. And in fact, this particular article is talking about how the foreign universities making India their home, and how expansion of the foreign universities in India will provide new opportunities for India's demographic dividend. And if you look into this article, this could be very important for the general studies paper 1. So let's understand the context of this topic first before going into the details. And in fact, it is being said that in recent years, India has been witnessing a significant transformation in the arena of higher education landscape, because in recent times, what has been happening that there has been an entry of world-class foreign universities into India. So therefore, expanding the higher educational institutions and new opportunities for India's youth. So therefore, there has been a transformation of its higher education landscape in India. And in fact, the expansion of the higher educational institutions, particularly the foreign universities, are based on the recommendations of the University Grants Commission. And this University Grants Commission is under the Ministry of Education. And in fact, the University Grants Commission has already issued 12 letters of intent. And the 12 letters of intent issued by the University Grants Commission has led to the global institutions or establishing more and more foreign universities in India. And in fact, the first one is being UK University. It has already commenced its operations at a place called Gurugram for the 2025 and 26 academic season. Right. So what I would like to tell you from this particular article is that there is an increasing presence and increasing number of foreign universities in India after University Grants Commission has issued 12 letters of intent. And in fact, the UK based institution or UK university is the first university which has already commenced its operations for the academic year of 25-26. So therefore, this is a very significant shift, and this shift signals not only a conscious policy realignment but also strategic vision on the part of India. And this strategic vision focuses on expanding the scope of higher education, quality of higher education at par with the global standards, and thereby expanding the educational opportunities for India's students and also reshape India's place in the global academia. So therefore, these are the objectives with which the University Grants Commission has issued 12 letters of intent to attract more and more foreign universities. So let's understand the policy foundation and the vision to establish and attract the foreign universities. However, the foundation or the cornerstone of this development, which is otherwise known as expansion of the foreign universities. Expansion of the foreign universities in India lies in UGC regulations, and these UGC regulations were introduced in the year 2023. And the UGC regulations 2023 have enabled the foreign universities to establish their campuses in India with a certain degree of operational autonomy and the regulatory clarity. And in fact, it has provided the required operational autonomy. Along with operational autonomy, it has also provided the regulatory clarity as well. So therefore, this initiative by the University Grants Commission to attract the foreign universities is also rightly aligned with the National Education Policy of 2020, because the National Education Policy 2020 also emphasizes on reimagining the higher education to be both globally competitive and locally grounded, so that we can make India a knowledge economy, right? So therefore, it is rightly aligned with the National Education Policy of 2020. So let's understand the reason behind India's timing in opening its door to foreign universities. So let's understand these facts as well. Now, why India has introduced or opened its doors to the foreign universities. And in fact, if you look at the conditions, there are a number of factors, they are converging with each other. Now, what are the factors which have favored and which have encouraged India to open its doors for the foreign universities? So it is well known fact that we have a large and aspirational young population. So young population is very important for any country's economy. In India's case, this young population is known as demographic dividend. So we have a large and aspirational young population. And apart from that, we have a rapidly expanding economy, right? So if I can talk about India's economy, so currently it is the third largest economy in terms of the purchasing power parity. However, India's economy is the fourth largest economy in the world in terms of GDP. However, very soon it is expected that Indian economy will become the third largest economy very soon. Right, so there's a unique convergence of such factors, and that has encouraged Indian government to attract more and more foreign universities or open its doors for the foreign universities. And apart from that, there is a huge demand in India for high quality education. So high quality education in certain areas. So what are the key areas where there is a need for a high quality education? For example, artificial intelligence, which is an emerging technology, and that requires high quality education. And sustainability, and even data science is also another emerging field which also requires high quality education. So therefore, artificial intelligence and data science, so all these are very important domains, very important fields which actually requires high quality education, and this gap can be rightly filled by the higher educational institutions. And at the same time, if you look at India's domestic reforms in recent times, for example, the hybrid learning models, both online and offline. So the hybrid learning models have got a sustained momentum after the COVID-19 pandemic, right? So after COVID-19 pandemic, the hybrid learning models have got a sustained push or a momentum. And apart from that, the government has also launched Anusandhan National Research Foundation, right? So the government has also launched Anusandhan National Research Foundation to streamline research. The objective is to streamline the research. And apart from that, the outcome oriented accreditation reforms they actually create fertile ground for global institutions to thrive. So all these domestic reforms have enabled us to create conditions so that we can attract the foreign universities, we can utilize our existing young and aspirational population in a better manner, and apart from that, we can create an innovative ecosystem, and we can also create universities with a higher quality education. And in fact, the foreign universities, so many of these universities are well known for facing operational challenges and demographic shifts in the West. Now when I say demographic shift in the West, so there is a growing old age population in the West, right? But we have a huge young and aspirational population. So these universities in foreign countries have been facing the operational challenges. So therefore, India can be an attractive destination for those foreign universities to come to India and start their operations. Right, so these are the reasons why India has opened up its doors for the foreign universities to come and establish their universities. So what local advantage and what are the global gains of the arrival of foreign campuses into India? So what are the local advantages for it? So let's understand this aspect as well. Now it is being said that the benefits are transformative in nature. So whenever any educational institution has been established, so its benefits could be transformative in nature, not just for the students but also for the families, economy, and for the society as well, because the foreign educational institutions are known for the good quality education, so they would bring good quality education into India. Now because when we have the foreign educational institutions, so we could access the world class education. Best standards of higher education would be possible through these higher educational institutions of foreign universities. And in fact, many Indian students, they choose other countries to pursue their higher education. So how about we have the foreign educational institutions in India itself, so that the Indian students will study in those foreign universities in India itself. So therefore it will potentially eliminate the financial and logistical burdens. Right, so you no need to go to a foreign country to pursue your masters. Right, so you can study itself in India through these foreign universities, because you expect that the higher education standards are better in these foreign educational institutions. And apart from that, now students who are studying in these foreign educational institutions in India, they're better exposed to the global curricula and diverse peer networks. And apart from that, they will also get the opportunity of international research without leaving their own cultural and familial environment. Right, so ultimately what happens, it actually democratizes global education, and apart from that, the education will be accessible, the higher education will be accessible to those sections of the society who have been excluded due to the economic and social reasons. Maybe there are some families, some students, they may not be able to afford higher education in other countries. So how about the foreign universities, if they have established their campuses in India, if they are working in Indian soil, Indian territory? So therefore those financial constraints or social constraints can be further minimized, so the excluded sections now can access a better education. So let's understand the increasing bar for Indian institutions, because it is being said that when foreign universities are established in India and they are teaching students with better standards, so there will be a demand domestically to increase the standards of education in our domestic educational institutions as well. So therefore this competition between the domestic educational institution and foreign educational institution will compels innovation, right? So it will result in innovation. So the Indian institutions would start upgrade their existing outdated curricula. They could foster research, and they could also strengthen the existing linkages as well. Right, so this is the advantage, right? So this is the local advantage of coming up of the foreign educational institutions. And we have the collaborations between the IITs, IISERs and AIIMS and international institutions. So all these factors would drive the innovation or advancements in emerging areas, for example renewable energy, public health and engineering. So in all these areas it will actually drive the advancements. Now new campuses, for example new foreign campuses, they can further accelerate such exchanges, such collaborations, and it will further strengthen or enhance the research output, and it will further strengthen the academic culture as well, right? So it is going to affect the academic culture, And the influx of the foreign universities will also contribute to the broader knowledge economy of India. Now remember that we would like to become a knowledge economy very soon, and this knowledge economy is also part of the Vikasit Bharat vision by 2047. So let's understand India as an education powerhouse. Right, so we should also understand this dimension as well. So how India is going to become an education powerhouse? Because we have a huge young population. So because of this reason, it provides a lot of opportunities for not just the Indian educational institutions but also the foreign educational institutions. Now in fact, we have a certain degree of reputation when it comes to technology, diplomacy and manufacturing. However, its potential in education remains underemphasized, and that is the main problem in India. But we have a rich intellectual heritage, no doubt about that. So when I say intellectual heritage, right from ancient times till the modern times, so we have come across the intellectual heritage. We have seen the intellectual heritage of India. For example, the Nalanda University that was established during the Gupta's rule, to the modern experiments like Shanti Niketan in West Bengal. So everything actually provides a foundation for positioning India as a distinctive force in international education. Right, so it is okay that the foreign universities have been establishing their campuses in India. That doesn't mean that we mimic the Western models of education. Rather, the objective is creating educational environment that blends the global excellence with the local wisdom, that also takes into consideration the global standards along with the local wisdom or India's intellectual heritage as well. So this rich blend is very important in making India an educational powerhouse. So in this context, so if we welcome the international institutions or students, so is not a diversion from addressing domestic challenges. Rather, it amplifies resources, quality and ambition within the Indian system. So thereby, by shaping narrative of what world-class education means, India can move from being a consumer to a co-creator of the global educational standards. So it is good that attracting the foreign educational institutions will make India an education powerhouse, and it is going to benefit India's young and aspirational youth, and it will also make India a knowledge economy very soon. So I hope you have understood this topic, and the next important topic is global plastic pollution crisis. So let's understand the context. And in fact, an article has been given in the Hindu newspaper, how serious is the global plastic pollution crisis. Now we all knew that how plastic pollution is a threat for the human beings, not just for the human beings but also for the environment and also to the large biodiversity. So for example, the plastic pollutions, plastic is non-biodegradable in nature. So what does non-biodegradable means? So non-biodegradable actually means that it cannot be easily degraded, right? So it actually takes several years to degrade, right? So therefore what happens is that the plastic persists in the environment for the longer periods of time, more than 200 years. So therefore we have been producing a huge amount of plastic every day. So what has been happening is that the plastic has been over a period of time disintegrating into the microplastics, and these microplastics are easily entering into the food chain, the human bodies and the larger food chain as well, right? So you might have come across the bioaccumulation, and biomagnification. Bioaccumulation and biomagnification. So these are the two terms which are being associated with the accumulation of the plastic pollution in human tissues and the tissues of other animals, and also increasing the numbers, the size, right? So this is what is called as bioaccumulation or biomagnification. Now if you talk about the context of it, now global plastic pollution is reaching alarming levels with projected to triple by 2060 to 1.2 billion tons. It is going to become 1.2 billion tons, and therefore it actually poses a grave ecological threat or a significant ecological threat. So remember, as I've already told you, that we have been producing a huge amounts of plastic waste every day. So if we talk about the scale of the plastic pollution crisis, now in fact the global plastic production, it has doubled between 2000 to 2019. Now according to an estimate, the global plastic pollution has touched around 460 million tons. Right, so during this period the global plastic pollution has touched to 460 million tons. Right, so what actually led to this massive growth of plastic pollution? Packaging, and along with the packaging, fast consumption or consumerist behavior of people, or unsustainable consumption practices are actually responsible for the enormous rise of plastic pollution in India. So however, the problem is only just 9% of plastic is recycled. Just 9% of the plastic that we have been producing is actually recycled. So therefore it has been leading to massive leakage into landfills. Now if we are not able to recycle the plastic that we have been generating, then most of the plastic is dumped in the landfills. Now if we dump the plastic in landfills, as I've already told you, that plastic is non-biodegradable in nature. Since it is non-biodegradable in nature, it will not decompose easily. Right, so it will take more than 200 years to decompose. So therefore it can create a huge challenge, because plastic can easily enter into the food chain. However, according to an estimate, 11 million tons of plastic it enters into the oceans every year. Now when plastic enters into the ocean, so it even enters into the marine food chain. It even enters the marine food chain as well. And you can also see the videos of people reaching the Mariana Trench, the deepest point on the earth. So at the Mariana Trench also you can find the traces of plastic pollution. So ultimately it has been contaminating the marine food chain as well, entering into the bodies of those fish. Now in fact the problem with the plastic is, since it is not biodegradable in nature, it takes several years for complete degradation. So plastics degrade into either micropollutants, microplastics, or nanoplastics. So this is the major problem with the plastic pollution. So micro and nano plastic particles, they can easily enter into the air, water, soil, and they can even enter into the human blood and lungs as well. However, if we don't carry out the urgent reforms, then it will be a problematic. Now according to the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, so it has assessed the plastic pollution. So the plastic waste will nearly triple by 2060 with overwhelming waste systems globally. Now you can see here the world produces around 400 million tons of plastic every year. Now the largest producer of plastic is plastic packaging, single-use material designed for immediate disposal. So this would be the largest producer of the plastic waste. Packaging itself contributing to around 36% of the global plastic pollution. Now followed by packaging, electrical and electronic items 4% plastic, building and construction 16% plastic, transportation 7% plastic, consumer and institutional products 10% plastic they are producing, industrial machinery 1%, textiles producing 14% plastics, and others are producing 12% of plastic. Now, what would be the grave problems of plastic pollution? So let's understand the grave problems of the plastic pollution as well. Now, in fact, it is being said that plastic is non-biodegradable and it takes centuries to decompose. It takes several years to decompose. Now, when it takes several years to decompose, resulting in permanent accumulation in the existing ecosystems, and this could be the first problem. And plastic production and plastic burning type of activities, they usually contribute to 3.4% of the global greenhouse gas emissions. So therefore it will further intensify the climate change as well, right? So what happens with the greenhouse gases? They are trapping the heat, so thereby increasing the global warming, and global warming further causing the climate change, because the plastic itself contributes to 3.4% of the global greenhouse gases. And another major problem is that, as I've already told you, that the nanoplastics or microplastics, they could easily enter into the marine food chains. They could easily enter into the marine food chains. So once they enter into these marine food chains, so it will lead to the starvation, poisoning, and even the harming of the reproductive functioning of those species as well. The major problem with the plastic pollution is that the carcinogenic nature of plastic pollution, and it even causes the endocrine disruptions, right? So because plastic very easily leach into food, water, air, so ultimately it affects the fertility of those organisms and fertility of the human beings, and it even affects the immunity as well, right? So it affects both fertility and immunity. And in fact, the marine plastic pollution, so it actually causes losses worth of 13 billion, right? So it actually causes losses worth of 13 billion yearly in fisheries, tourism, and shipping sectors as well. However, if we talk about the plastic waste menace in India, so most of the plastic waste is mismanaged, because the waste leaking directly into the environment. It is dumped in landfills. It has been entering into the oceans. It has been even entering into the lakes, ponds, thereby contaminating the existing marine ecosystem. And it has been dumped into the landfill sites. So incineration of the plastic waste would generate the greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. Now, not just greenhouse gases, but other harmful gases as well. But in India, recycling of plastic waste, the capacity to recycle plastic waste is also very low. So you can also see how the plastic waste emission has been increasing over a period of time in this graph as well. So let's understand the global efforts to deal with the plastic pollution. Now, in fact, the United Nations Environmental Agency Treaty 2022, so it has been agreed by around 193 countries. So the 193 countries have agreed to negotiate a binding treaty so that this treaty could end the plastic pollution by the year 2024. And apart from that, the Sustainable Development Goals alignment Now if we talk about the sustainable development goals alignment, so it is an agenda. By 2030 we need to achieve the sustainable development goals, and one of the goal is responsible production and consumption. And sustainable development goal number 12 talks about sustainable consumption. Sustainable development goal number 13 talks about the climate action, right? So the circular economy push, so global campaigns would promote reuse, redesign, recycling to reduce the virgin plastic production. So if we talk about the Indian efforts, so plastic waste management rules 2016 and 2022, so it actually bans the selected single-use plastic items, and it also reinforces the producer responsibility, right? So if we talk about the Swachh Bharat Mission 2.0, so it actually focuses on 100% door-to-door waste collection, segregation and processing. And even plastic roads, so over 1.2 lakh kilometers of Indian roads use plastic, reducing bitumen use and improving the durability as well.